The smell of roasted coffee beans used to mean comfort. Now, it smells like betrayal. For the past 8 years, I've poured my heart, literally and figuratively, into Willow Street Café, the little corner shop my family once called our dream. But the truth? It was my dream. My idea. My sweat, my sleepless nights, my entire 20s sacrifice to turn a dusty storefront into the cozy, thriving spot it is today. My parents always loved saying, "We built this as a family." But by family, they meant me, Sienna. It started with a dinner invitation. Mom called, using that sweet but heavy tone that usually meant bad news. "Sienna, honey, we're all getting together this Sunday. Just the family. We've got some things to talk about the cafe." Her words sent a ripple of unease through me. "What things?" "Oh, nothing bad," she said too quickly. "Just some transitions." Transitions. That word hung in my head for days. By Sunday night, my stomach was in knots. When I walked into my parents' house, everything looked the same but felt different. The dining table was set too neatly, candles flickering like we were hosting a peace summit. My younger sister Alyssa sat there already, perfectly poised, her phone face down beside her plate. She wore her usual smile, the one that looked like she practiced it in the mirror. "Hey, sis," she chirped. "Long time, no family drama." I forced a laugh. "Let's keep it that way." Mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron, and Dad poured himself a generous glass of wine. I knew right then, this wasn't going to be a normal dinner. We made small talk for a few minutes. Alyssa bragged about her new job in social media consulting. Mom nodded proudly, like Alyssa had just invented electricity. Then it happened. Mom cleared her throat and clasped her hands together. "So, Sienna, your father and I have been thinking a lot about the future of the cafe." My heart slowed. "Okay?" Dad leaned forward. "You've done an incredible job, honey. Really. But we think it's time to bring in some new leadership, someone with fresh ideas." I blinked. "Fresh ideas?" "Dad, I am the leader. I've run that place since day one." Mom gave a tight, rehearsed smile. "We know. And we're proud of you. But Alyssa has a business degree now. She understands marketing and growth strategies." Alyssa straightened up, glowing. "I've been thinking we could rebrand Willow Street Cafe into something more upscale. Maybe add craft cocktails, modern decor. I could handle the new direction." The words "I could handle it" hit me like a slap. "Wait," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "You want Alyssa to run the cafe?" Dad nodded, sipping his wine. "Well, we'd still need you involved, of course. You'd stay on as operations manager." Operations manager. The title burned in my chest. I'd gone from owner to employee in the span of one dinner. I looked at my sister, perfect, confident, untouched by the years I spent scraping espresso off the floor and crying over payroll spreadsheets. "Do you even know what it takes to run that place?" I asked her. "Do you know what it's like to stay up until 2 a.m. because a shipment didn't arrive or a pipe burst? You've never even made a latte, Alyssa." She smiled in that smug, pitying way she always did when she thought she'd won. "That's why I'm not working in it, Sienna. I'll be managing it." I laughed, short and bitter. "Managing what I built." Mom frowned. "Sienna, please don't make this difficult. We just want what's best for the family." And there it was again, the family. The invisible leash that kept me tied down, guilty, obedient. Dinner went downhill fast. Every word out of their mouths felt like a twist of the knife. "You've been so stressed, honey, this will take the pressure off. Alyssa's ideas could really modernize things. You'll still get a paycheck." A paycheck. For something I owned. Finally, I pushed my chair back. The sound of it scraping the floor cut through the air like thunder. "You're seriously doing this?" I asked. "After everything I've given up?" "The cafe was supposed to be mine, Mom." "Dad, you said that when we started." Dad sighed. "It's still yours in spirit, sweetheart. But Alyssa has more leadership potential." Leadership potential. That was it. I laughed, loud, sharp, and uncontrollable. It wasn't joy. It was disbelief. I stood, my hands trembling. "You know what? Keep your cafe. Keep your family meetings, your transitions, your rebranding. I'm done pretending this was ever about me." And then I walked out. The cold air hit my face the moment I stepped outside. My chest felt tight, but I refused to cry. Not this time. I'd cried too many times for people who only saw my worth when they could use it. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Then I drove to the cafe. The lights were still on. The place looked warm, alive, like a piece of me still beating. I unlocked the door and walked inside. The smell of vanilla syrup and espresso filled the air. The chalkboard still had the quote I wrote that morning: "Good things grow where love is poured." I traced the words with my fingers, my heart breaking all over again. Love was poured here. My love. And they wanted to take it from me like it was a family heirloom instead of my life's work. That night, I sat at my favorite corner table and opened my laptop. My inbox was full of messages from suppliers, customers, and even local bloggers. And then, buried between the junk mail, I saw an email from a cafe owner in Seattle. We'd met at a small business conference last year. Subject: you ever think about expanding? I smiled through the tears forming in my eyes. Maybe I didn't need to fight for Willow Street anymore. Maybe it was time to build something new. But I wasn't going to let them take what I built quietly. Because this time, I wasn't the loyal daughter or the forgiving sister. This time, I was a woman who knew her worth. And that's far more powerful than any family title. The next few weeks felt like living someone else's life. Every time I passed Willow Street Cafe, I saw her inside, Alyssa, in her trendy blazers and designer heels, talking to customers like she'd always belonged there. She changed everything: the warm wooden sign replaced by a minimalist logo, the chalkboard quotes erased, the rustic shelves stripped away for sleek glass displays. It wasn't my cafe anymore. It was a stranger wearing my skin. At first, I told myself to stay away. But curiosity, or maybe pain, drew me in one morning. The moment I walked through the door, I barely recognized it. The cozy smell of baked muffins was replaced with cold citrus air freshener. The soft folk music was gone, replaced by a pop playlist that screamed "Look at me." And behind the counter stood Alyssa, smiling for a selfie with two influencers. "Sienna," she said brightly when she noticed me. "Oh my God, you came. Isn't it amazing?" My mouth went dry. "It's different. Right?" I told Mom and Dad the old vibe was so 2015. We're modern now. She turned to her barista. "2 cold brews for the Collins sisters, make it photogenic." I felt my throat tighten. The cafe had been my dream, not a prop for her Instagram aesthetic. When the barista handed me my drink, I took a sip and almost spit it out. Bitter. Watery. No love. No care. Just profit. I set the cup down. "You're losing what made this place special, Alyssa." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. You're just nostalgic. Change is good, Sienna. You can't cling to the past forever." Her words echoed like a warning bell. "You're right," I said quietly. "But the past is what built this place. Don't forget that." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm not forgetting. I'm improving it." And that's when I knew I wasn't welcome here anymore. Days turned into weeks, and I threw myself into everything except the cafe. I started working freelance, helping small businesses with branding, recipes, and customer flow. It was strange, realizing how much I'd learned over the years. I'd always thought I was just a barista with ambition. But people were paying for my ideas now, and loving them. Still, every time I passed Willow Street, it hurt. Then one day, I got a call from Emma, one of the cafe's oldest employees. "Sienna, can we talk?" Her voice was shaky. "Customers are complaining," she whispered. "Alyssa keeps changing the menu. People miss your recipes. The regulars, they're not coming back." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "It's bad. She fired Jenny last week for not being enthusiastic enough. And she's planning to switch to prepackaged pastries." Prepackaged. At a cafe that was built on homemade love. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind spun with memories, the first time I kneaded dough at 3 a.m. The laughter of customers who'd become friends, the old couple who came every Friday for their shared muffin. And now it was all being erased. A week later, I decided to stop being silent. I met with Leo, an old friend and local food journalist who had once featured Willow Street Cafe in a Top 10 Cozy Cafes article. He listened as I told him everything: the takeover, the changes, the customers leaving. "Sounds like a story," he said, jotting notes. "But Sienna, are you sure you want to go public? It might get messy." I smiled faintly. "It's already messy. But people should know what happens when you take heart out of a business built on it." A week later, the article went live. Title: When Rebranding Breaks a Legacy, The Fall of Willow Street Cafe. The piece went viral locally. Comments poured in. "We miss the old vibe. Sienna's touch made it special. Corporate energy killed the magic." Alyssa's response came fast, an angry text. "Alyssa, how could you do this? You're making me look bad." "Me, you did that yourself." "Alyssa, Mom and Dad are furious. You've embarrassed the family." "Me, they embarrassed me first." Days later, I drove past the cafe again. This time, there was a "Help Wanted" sign in the window and only 2 customers inside. My chest hurt, but not from guilt. From closure. Sometimes, things have to fall apart for the truth to show. And the truth was this: I didn't need to take back Willow Street Cafe. I was capable of building something better. That same night, I got an email from a downtown property owner. Saw the article. "I've got a vacant space, used to be a bakery. Interested?" I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe it was time for my second beginning. The email sat open on my laptop for 3 days. Every night, I hovered over the reply button and closed it again. Starting over sounded terrifying. But staying silent, staying small, felt worse. On the 4th morning, I woke before sunrise and drove to the downtown address. The space was dusty and echoing, but the moment I stepped inside, something clicked. There was sunlight streaming through tall windows, a faint scent of vanilla lingering from whoever had been there before, and enough room for dreams to stretch. It didn't whisper Willow Street Café. It whispered begin again. So I did. I used my savings, every dollar I hadn't given to the old cafe, and built something new from the ground up. This time, I didn't name it after a street. I named it after myself. Café Sienna. Warm neutrals, handwritten menus, plants hanging from the ceiling, the kind of place where people didn't just buy coffee, they found calm. I baked my own pastries again, playing with recipes late into the night. My friends came to help paint, scrub, and laugh through exhaustion. Every brushstroke felt like reclaiming a part of myself. When we opened our doors, only a handful of customers showed up. But they smiled, lingered, and told their friends. Within 2 weeks, the line stretched outside. Then one Saturday morning, I saw a familiar figure standing by the door, my mother. Her smile was polite but hesitant. "You've been busy." "Always," I said softly. She looked around, her eyes scanning the cozy decor, the people laughing at the counter. "It's lovely. Reminds me of the old cafe." "It is the old cafe," I said. Just without the part that broke me. She sighed. "You know your sister's cafe isn't doing well. Customers keep comparing it to this place." I met her gaze. "That's not my fault." "I didn't say it was," she replied quickly, then paused. "But Alyssa feels humiliated. She thought you'd help her." I felt my heart twist. For a second, guilt tried to sneak in, like it always had. But I wasn't that girl anymore. "I did help her, Mom. I built something from nothing. I showed her what hard work looks like. What she does with that example is up to her." My mother looked down, fingers tracing the edge of the counter. "Maybe we should have seen how much it meant to you." "Maybe you should have," I said, not cruelly, just truthfully. She nodded once, eyes glistening. "Your father's proud. We both are. Even if we didn't show it." It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever get. Weeks passed. Café Sienna flourished. A local blogger wrote about my story, the woman who rebuilt her dream after her family took it away, and the post exploded online. People began stopping by just to meet me. They'd say, "I left my job because of you," or "You reminded me to start again." For the first time, I understood something deeper. Maybe the dream had to be stolen so I'd realize I could build more than a business, I could build a life. A few months later, I received an invitation I didn't expect. Local Voices, Women Entrepreneurs Panel, Keynote Speaker, Sienna Collins. My hands shook as I read it. Me? A keynote speaker? The night of the event, I stood on stage in front of hundreds of faces, some familiar, some not. A microphone, a spotlight, and a lump in my throat. I used to think success meant pleasing everyone, I began. My family, my customers, even strangers. But the moment I lost everything, I realized, I'd never owned anything at all. There was silence, then a murmur of connection rippling through the crowd. I built a cafe with my heart. My sister took it. And for a long time, I thought she'd taken me with it. But sometimes losing what you love gives you space to love yourself instead. Applause filled the room, growing louder until I could barely hear myself breathe. I smiled through tears. So, if someone tells you that you don't belong in the dream you built, remember, you can always build another one. And this time, make sure your name is on the door. When I walked off stage, my phone buzzed with a message. From Alyssa. "Saw your speech. I get it now. You built it. I just ran it into the ground. I'm sorry." And attached, a photo. The old Willow Street Cafe deed, signed over to me. At the bottom, in bold ink, one word scrawled across it, void. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because for the first time in years, I felt completely, beautifully free. I looked around Café Sienna, the hum of laughter, the scent of cinnamon, the soft glow of evening, and smiled. This wasn't revenge. It was redemption. And it was mine. Sparkles the end.